Memorial in Hastings, known to locals as the Memorial, was classed as the town centre. Throughout the centuries, the most well-known pastime in any seaside resort was paddling, as this picture shows of Hastings Beach, with the pier in the background. From the Victorian era until the advent of cheap air travel, our beaches were heavily populated in summer, with holidaymakers swimming, building sandcastles, paddling and playing sports of all kinds on the sands, as this 16mm film clip of a family on the beach in the neighbouring town of Bexhill in 1936 shows. The St Leonard's bathing pool in the 30s. This pool opened in 1933 and was one of Olympic standard and said to be the finest in Europe. The pool held many a swimming gala and diving competition, but the main attractions were the beauty contests that were staged and also the stunt divers, as can be seen in this film. Hastings Pier was opened in 1872. Designed by Eugenius Birch, it was one of his standard piers at around 900 feet in length by 45 feet in width, with a large platform at the end on which was erected a pavilion to hold some 2,000 people. In 1917 it sadly caught fire. Its replacement was not so splendid or as ornate. This is Alfred Stonham, better known as Biddy, who had given many children rides in his tub as far back as the early 1900s. He had collection men who would meet him in the nearest pub, downing several pints before he arrived, paid for out of the collection money. A family that came to reside in the town in the early years were the Italian family Di Marico. They first started by selling ice cream along the beach from a bucket, and I have heard told that if a child had no money or came from a poor family, they would give them an ice cream rather than see them go without. The local people soon took this kind family to their hearts, and so their business flourished, which enabled them to open an ice cream parlour. In the 1950s and 60s, when a family were in town shopping, the wife went in one direction with the children to buy them school clothes, and the husband went in the other to buy tools for work. And the wife said, "I'll see you in an hour in DeMarco's." Malcolm Mitchell was a Coast Guard lookout during the Second World War along Rockanoa, but Malcolm started his shop just after the war and was well known by many locals. Most building workers had at some time brought trousers or boots or tools from his shop. W. Goodwin, Queen's Road, builder, decorator and plumber, telephone Hastings 563, and as the record states, they were just going on a day's outing in coaches and four. In 1936, holidays to the coast were booming, as this 16mm film clip shows. This film has 1936 titles inserted. I don't know where this film was taken, but I think it was filmed out on the A21, as all the buses have Hastings written on the front. This was possibly a bank holiday in 1936. On the 31st of September 1938, Dengate's furniture store in Queen's Road was gutted by fire. The damage was estimated at £11,000. This was also the last day for the Volunteer Fire Brigade. The Volunteer Fire Brigade was established in 1861 by William Montagu Glenister, Superintendent of Police since 1857, and was made Chief Constable in 1882 and died in 1894. Mending nets. The fishermen cannot afford to buy new nets every time they're snagged on a wreck or submerged obstacle, so they mend them, Then they hang them out to dry in the tall net huts, purpose-built, and I think peculiar only to these parts. Operating hang capstans in the 1930s. The council supplied horse-driven capstans for the larger boats, but the small, privately owned hand capstans were used for the smaller vessels.